Hello, welcome to Super Soldier Safety Survival Skills. I am your host, Sergeant Samuel, and I am here with little Waylon. Today, we will learn how to build some shelters. There are some shelters that can be built in a cave. So you can have a cave here, a fire in the back, you're laying in the front. The fire heats up the cave and keeps the exit clear, and you can pile up some stones to form a windbreak at the front. Now, here is how you make a bed. You lay 4 logs out, 2 short ones and 2 long ones, and then you drive pegs into the ground to hold them in place. Then, here's another shelter. So, first you find a place with like a hollow in the ground that's natural, that is also dry. You build your bed inside, and then you lay some sturdy branches along the top. So, you see right here, you lay these branches first, ones that go across the thinner part. Then you lay a pole across these the other way. That is where you attach everything else. Then you form a lattice of small twigs that you weave through the branches, and then you put leaves on top. Oh, and on this bed, I think it was 6 inches of leaves will compress to 2 inches. Just a fun fact. Here's another shelter, an A-frame shelter. So, here's how you do it. You take a long tree, at least 3 feet longer than you, and then you use the saw on your knife to make one side straight, for a little bit at least. And then you take 2 poles, tie them together, and stick them in the ground. Then you put the tree in the hole, like in the gap, because my arms are the 2 poles, then there's a gap up here. So then the other pole comes through here. Waylon, what's this shelter called?
An A-frame shelter.
A what?
An A-frame shelter.
Good. Then you lean the poles across, getting shorter as you go to the other end. And you can either lay them on what used to be branches of the tree, or you can use an arbor knot. Okay? An arbor knot. Then you weave a lattice of small branches through, and then you put on some leaves, like some ferns and stuff like that, the broadleaf stuff. And then you put on a second layer. Here is a picture of it when it's done. There are some other ways that you can build some structures, like this broken trunk. You can use that broken trunk instead of a ridge, like instead of an A-frame, you tie the ridge pole to that, and then that works instead. You can use an uprooted tree. So, you have a hollow underneath it, and you just hook your structure to the top roots. Pretty simple. And then a fallen tree trunk. the trees laying here. The other things to support it are, like the things laying on top of it are here. Then you put some leaves and stuff on top of that. Here are some ways to make tarp shelters. Here is the tarp shelter we will be talking about. If your tarp does not have holes for rope, then you can make a button tie. So what it is you stick a smooth stone that's small into you put it in the tarp like this. So my hand's the tarp, my finger's the stone, it comes up around it, and then all you have to do is put a slip knot over the bump that it makes and around it, pull it tight, and then when you have pulled it tight, you can do a overhand knot to connect it to the tent pegs. So, for this shelter, you use 3 2-foot long pieces of rope and 1 6-foot long piece. You tie each of them to a corner, and then you tie the 6-foot piece to a tree at least 3 feet high, and then you have the entrance away from the wind, and then you you peg out the different pegs using the button ties or regular holes. There are some other ways you can make a tent. You can use an A-frame, and you use a double chain knot. And then you drape the tarp over it, then you peg down the corners, and all done. You can do a hooped shelter. A hooped shelter is just some saplings that you bend over and stick in the ground, or softwood, and then you put your tarp over it and peg it down. The other one is a one-sided shelter. You just put a rope between 2 trees, and then you attach the tarp to that. You just tie it on, have it tied on, and then you peg the back out, and it forms a sort of windbreak. Okay, Waylon, what were the names of some of the shelters? There was a cave shelter. Okay. There was an A-frame shelter. Good job. There was an uprooted tree shelter. Good job. A broken trunk shelter. Yeah. Broken tree shelter, but whatever. And there was a falling down tree shelter. Yep. There was another A-frame shelter. This one uses a tarp. Good job. Those are some of the shelters we learned to make today. And I think that's all. Until next time, be the best. I'll see you later.